This Vinny Vid production brought to you by Yankee Dabbler. For all your model railroad needs, check out Yankee Dabbler. Don't forget, 7% discount with BNSF 6951. And by Highways and Byways, awesome street graphics for your roads and streets on your model railroad layout. If you guys are looking for sophisticated model railroad electronics, Logic Rail Technologies has what you need. For a 5% discount on certain items, use code BNSF6951. Alright guys, now it's time for the next step on your layout. Trees! I have been dealing with Bob for 7 years now, and he does excellent work on his trees. So if you need some trees on your layout, check out Long Shadow's Trees. Tell him the Cuzz sent you. Hey everyone, welcome to Friday Night with the Cuzz. How's everybody doing? Welcome Steve Childers, Lehigh River Subdivision, Roy Eltham, Indian Head Valley Railroad, PDRR Engineer, Dwight Curley, Dan's Grand Valley. How's everybody doing tonight? Randall Ellison, glad you can make it in tonight. Who else we got in here? Nissy J, how's it going? John Tanzillo, nice to see you. James Galton. Steve 87 PSAP, glad you can make it in tonight, fellas. John Schoolkill, how's it going, buddy? And I think I have got Joe Rader, how's it going? I'm scrolling all the way back to the beginning of this to see who all is in here. Dan's Grand Valley, how's it going, buddy? Glad you can make it in tonight. And there was someone else in here I saw earlier that was new, I think. I didn't see it. Kyle Stevens, there you go. How's it going, buddy? Wow. I went through all of them just now. Brian Page, glad you can make it in. Kenwood Griffith Jr., how's it going? Who else we got in here? I got a special guest tonight, you guys. I think you all know him. He's a pretty cool guy. He's always very, very jolly. And so I decided I wanted to have him on my show. Actually, I wanted to get him on my show a couple of months ago, but he had other plans on Friday nights. Imagine that. He wouldn't watch the Cuzz on Friday nights. I'm glad I got him in the hot seat now. All right. So how's it going? Anyhow, let's see. Let's start off with my super chats from last week. Okay, first of all, we got Manny Fernandez, and we got Roy Eltham 2 times. Shane's N-Scale Trains. How's it going, buddy? Kevin Brown, M&M Short Lines. Thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate that. That helped me buy my new car, by the way. Only kidding, guys. You guys did see that, right? You did see my new midlife crisis number 2. Anyhow, all right. So anyhow, let me get some of the shows out of the way that we do here on a weekly basis. And this is, believe me, is definitely not up to date. Between doing all the stuff, MSIL Hunter 5, how's it going? Nice to see you in here. And I saw some Jimmy Tedesco, glad you can make it in. William, New Fitness Railroad, how's it going? All right. Anyhow, like I started to say, I have been real busy trying to figure out what's going on with my layout, and then spending 3 or 4 hours at a car dealership trying to buy a car and all that kind of stuff. So I really am not updated on all the live streams that are going on. Ralph Greenwood, how's it going? David Z to G, glad you can make it in tonight. All right, so I'm going to give you what I have for now, and I know if you watch Sidetrack Sunday or any of the other shows that the guys go on, they do have a full list of all the live streams that are going on, and I have been talking to John Schoolkill to give me that list so I can put it on my channel. John Linton, how's it going, buddy? Glad to see you in here. Dwight Curley, nice to see you. I thought I saw another Indian something or other earlier. All right, well, whatever. I'm sure if he comes up again, I'll say hello if I see him again. Anyhow, let's start with this. On Mondays, we have Modeling Monday. That's with Heath at Humanity Junction. He's on at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And then after him, we have Tom's Trains and Things. Starts at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. On Tuesday, we have On Track Tuesday Group. And we also have Scratch Build with the Cuzz on Tuesday evening. Now, next Tuesday night, It will be canceled because I am going into the hospital to have a growth cyst or something taken out of my neck. So there definitely won't be a Tuesday night, and I'm not sure about Friday night. So yeah, so we'll have to see that. Ralph Greenwood, glad you can make it in, buddy. All right. All right, so let's see. On Wednesdays, the first Wednesday is community round. The first Wednesday of the month is community roundhouse. Then we got Sparky 107. Speaking of Sparky, how you doing, little brother? Glad you can make it in tonight. Brian Iron Horse, how's it going? Glad you can make it in tonight. Then we have on the third Wednesday of the month, we have TSG, sorry. And I think the fourth Wednesday, I think Sparky's going to be doing the fourth Wednesday. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Sparky. On Thursday, I don't know what's going on Thursday. Hot Rod Rodney, I haven't heard from him in about a month. And then also Scott from Hillbilly Railroad, I haven't heard from him either. So I don't know what's going on Thursday. You guys just have to be on the look for that. Now, on Friday, we got hanging out with me. Then you got hanging out with Humanity Junction. He's on in the morning. And then Anthony Dodge is on early afternoon. These are all Eastern times, guys. Saturday, we have Back on Track. And there's probably someone else. Like I said, I'm not up to date on all of these live streams. And Sunday, we have Nora and Sidetrack Sunday. Other shows during the week that you guys can check out are every other Monday, we have Not Bad with Wilmer. On Tuesday, we have Dispatch with Roy Smith. And on Sunday, we have Sunday Morning Coffee and Trains with Dale. All right, let's go on to this page now. I had not been writing down all the shows because, like I said, I'm not sure what's going on. Anyhow, I did mention that next Tuesday there will not be a clinic because of what I'm having done here. Premiere video tomorrow will be another layout update, and I'm going to show you the progress I've been making on the short problem that I've had and what I'm doing to solve that. So you'll be able to see that at the beginning of that tomorrow's video. Let me just do a quick little thing over here for you guys that have not seen it yet. And we'll get a little closer. All right, this, you guys remember I started doing this on one of my live streams a while ago. I finally got to work on it a little bit more. So this is what I got. What do you think of that, guys? This is going to be the Bingham Gravel Company. And of course, this is not the correct conveyor. I'm just using that as a stand-in. Right now, I just want to know, of course, it will go like that. I just want to know the footprint of this. So when I start putting scenery and stuff up on my layout, I will be able to put this up there and make sure it all fits. And if I'm not sure if I want to put track in here yet, over here, there's supposed to be some stairs and stuff like that. It's not 100% finished yet, but good enough for me to put on the layout to get some measurements and whatever. Anyhow, I just thought I'd give you guys a little look at that thing. And we'll come back to here. Thank you, Roy Eltham. I like that. Thank you, Brian. Steve87, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Now, I just want to show you one thing before we get continue on here. There's a neighbor on my block that has this. Okay, I don't know if it's going to come up now or what. I might have to turn my camera off, but let's see. Yeah, I'm going to have to turn my camera off. All right, let's see if this works. There you go. That's my midlife crisis number 2, guys. That car rocks. I'm telling you, that car has got so many bells and whistles on it. It's unbelievable. I was telling Ray just before we started the show here that I was driving it home yesterday, and I had the cruise control on, and it's got one of those adaptive cruise controls, and I started catching up to the car in front of me. This car actually started to slow down. In fact, it got close enough where it started hitting the brakes even a little harder. I was totally impressed with this. Humanity Junction, how's it going? It's got the lane departure stuff, and it's got the rear camera. It's got so many options and stuff. So here I am thinking I did all the stuff on the telephone that I'm going to get to the dealership and be in and out. Nope, I wound up spending 3 to 3.5 hours there. CP368, how's it going? Humanity Junction, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, midlife. That's what happens when you have your 70th birthday that just passed. Yes, I am 70 years old now, guys. Dragon Lover 68, how's it going, buddy? James Galton, I think I said hello to you earlier. Late night, Joey Busek, how's it going? Anyhow, let's see, where are we? I'm getting lost here. I did that. Okay, so I guess I can put the book away now. No, I can't put the book away because that's where my questions are. Let's see. Where are you? There you go. I didn't know that when I put the title into StreamYard that it would actually project it onto YouTube. So you guys know who my guest is going to be tonight, and I will put him up here. And I will definitely bring him up right about now. Happy today. Yeah, I'm happy today. Splitlock Thomas, how's it going, buddy? Glad you can make it in tonight. 52 people in here. I'm happy with that. All right. Anyhow, let me bring my buddy up here, and we'll all say hello to him. Mr. Ray BOEBEL, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, it's going. You bring me in here, and the subs will start dropping.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you. See, it don't fit on my half a little screen. So yeah. So how's it going, Ray?
It's going.
Welcome to the Cousin Vinny's hot seat.
Yeah, it's been getting warmer.
JT1, I just want you to know that your gift is actually in the mail. It went in the mail today. So you'll be expecting it, I think she said, on Tuesday. So have fun when you get it. All right.
Show's going into overtime now. Yeah, okay.
I can't go overtime. I got dinner.
Oh. Hey,
I was just trying to catch up. Oh, your train man, Dave. How's it going, buddy? Glad you can make it in tonight. Sparky.
I have that same problem, Vinny.
Yeah. It's like all of a sudden I get these little dust particles on there, and I'm seeing all these little dots in front of my face. Ron Bryce, how's it going? That's from Down Under. How's it going, buddy? John Mystic Southern, how's it going? Digger Evans, my buddy from across the pond. How's it going? All right. So let's get on with a little bit of questions here, Mr. Bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, gee. Well, I guess the best thing to go is just, I've been in and out of the hobby for about 40 years. The railroad, as most people have, if they hadn't seen it, or if they had seen it, they know that this thing was actually started by my grandfather back in the 1950s. And Georgia Sunbelt, it's me.
How you doing, Anthony? Speaking of which, now, Ray, is this a continuation from the previous layout that you had, or is this something new?
This layout is a complete rebuild. It was the old layouts. There's the old layouts are still a part of this, but it was completely, when I moved back in 2019, the 13-foot by 11, which is where it had gotten to, was taken apart or broken up, taken apart, saved, brought over here, and then I started reconfiguring it and ended up with this 34-foot by 8-foot monster that's behind me.
Thank you, Mr. Rick Bailey. I appreciate that, buddy.
Hey, it's the tree.
Let's see. I'm trying to keep up with the comments here. All right, so continue on.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been out of the hobby for 40 years. This thing was started by my grandfather back in the 1950s. His layout is still a part of this. It's still underneath the city, which is over my left shoulder, that way. I hate it when it's mirror imaged, but anyway.
I know it's
it's like which way? But yeah, the original layout where the original pike is still a part of the layout. It's over underneath the city, and I've just been. It's one of those things. My dad and I, back in the late '80s, early '90s, when my parents moved into a new house, we had thoughts of building an empire together, and unfortunately, I lost my dad in '97, and that dream was just never realized. And then when we moved in here 2 years ago, I looked at this base where when we started looking at houses and I saw this basement, I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. It's time.
Thank you, Marty. I appreciate that, buddy. So Rick Bailey, how's it going, buddy? Glad you can make it in tonight. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on. I mean, you may get interrupted like that every once in a while, but
it's all good. So yeah, I mean that's basically. I mean, I was in the U.S. Navy for 4 years. Went through electronics school for 2 years, and then I've been working for the same company for the last 27. So
let's see.
Is a Beauville in Newtown? Is that a fallen? No, it's not a fallen flag. It was a never flag.
You can always count on Heath to give you some cool questions.
Oh, yeah. And that's my cohort in crime. You'd think he'd know everything by now.
So I'm gonna interject a question here.
Okay.
What is your favorite locomotive?
Well, that would have to be the Pennsylvania GG1 Blackjack.
Okay, and you have one of those?
And I earlier this year, the gang from Sidetrack Sunday actually went and got me a Blackjack.
Cool, very cool, very cool. Cloverdale Rail, how's it going, buddy? Glad to make it in here. Joe Rader, how's it going? All right. So, tell me, do you have any other hobbies or interests that you do?
Well, I'm the league president, or I've been the league president of a bowling league for 9 years now. That's usually what takes up my Friday nights from late August until May. So,
well, since you're the head honcho, why don't you change that night to Thursday night?
No. I think I'd end up with a coup.
Let's see. So let's go ahead and continue on a little bit more about Mr. Ray BOEBEL.
Yep.
Chris Mitchell, how's it going, buddy?
Oh.
So what else you got to tell me about yourself? You said you spent some time in the service. What were you on? What were you in the Navy?
Yeah, I was in the Navy. I was on board a Oliver Hazard Perry class fast frigate. Spent 3 years on board. I did a 6-month tour in the Persian Gulf. The first time that was back in 91 into 92, and then after the service, I went back and.
What do you think he's going to say, Heath?
I'm sorry, I'm somewhat self-centered now.
BOEBEL and Newton, right? David G, go Navy. Yes, so we have two Navy guys here tonight.
So that was after my tour overseas, I decided that was enough. It was time for something.
You were seeing some of the stuff in Iraq and Iran and all of that stuff. You were in during those.
Yeah,
that sucked.
Yep. It's well.
but the thing is, and everybody says to me, "Oh, you're going into a war zone," but you're on a ship. Unless they have a stronger Navy than you, you're okay.
Well, yeah. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Mystic John, Mystic Southern Railway says, "You rock, Ray. Thank you for your service." Hey, what about me?
uh,
Let's see. Let's see. So you already answered the question about the locomotive.
Yep.
Do you like operations or do you like what is Ray's favorite part? Let's get this on here. What is Ray's favorite part of Steamtown? Who is your favorite modeler that you're excited to meet? Okay. Let me get that back up there. Anyway. And what are you looking for at Strasbourg?
Oh, I was looking forward to Strasbourg the last 2 years. Are you kidding?
Yeah, really.
No, and to Sparky, to be honest, it was just really cool to be able to meet a lot of the YouTubers in person and being able to hang out. There was not one that I'd say I had more, but it was an overall blast, period. So, that was. And just being able to run around or walk around that area up there, and that was neat too. But I'm definitely looking forward to when we can all meet back up again. At Strasbourg.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that also. Split Rock has a question for you. Does Ray have an HO scale bowling alley on his layout?
Not yet. If you hadn't noticed, there's very little scenery on that layout.
Hey, why not? I mean, Redbird Tony's putting a baseball field on his.
I originally wanted to put in a shipyard, but I didn't have any room for that
yet. You mentioned this earlier. You've been on and off modeling for 40 years, you say?
Yeah.
Did you start out with HO?
I've always been into HO, but my grandparents and my great grandparents had N gauge or N scale, and they also had O scale. I had one great grandparent that actually had O scale, but most of them, they all had the N scale, which is kind of odd considering the fact that, I don't take those, but as you get, your eyes start failing, they were still messing around with these things. So it was, but they were all of our layouts were Christmas layouts until right before I went into the service. That was the last time that my father had ours up. It stayed up the whole time I was in, and we messed with it when I came home until they moved.
I got to answer Thomas here. He says, Redbird Tony has baseball field. Who's on first? No, I think who's on second.
No, I don't know who's on third.
No, I don't know who's on third.
Right. Today's pitching, tomorrow's catching.
There you go. That was the greatest routine I've ever seen in my life. And they have this thing, on the side of YouTube, when you're watching the video, you get the side things and recommends different videos. Well, I've been watching a couple of these things like British guy reacts to. New Zealand girl acts too, and she was the one who did the who's on first, and I haven't seen that for ages, and she was just like, what? What are you saying? She got totally lost. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Let's see who else? We got Frank here. Frank is Frank's Steeler fan 820. How's it going, buddy? Glad you can make it in tonight. All right. Let's see. Why did you choose your scale?
Well, obviously it's what I grew up with. It was what my father had. That was what was passed down, to me. And we had before I went into service, we had quite a collection of HO scale, rolling stock, buildings, and locomotives. And then while I was in the service, I bought more. And at one point in time, I had gotten a letter from my dad going, would you quit having this stuff sent here? I'm running out of places to put it. Well, when you're overseas, let's put it this way. With 6 months in the Persian Gulf, I was sitting there flipping through the Walters catalog and just ordering whatever looked good.
That's funny.
I had money and had no place to burn it. It was like, hey, you know what?
Yeah, really. Hello, Mr. Melvin Fackler. How's it going, buddy? Glad you can make it in tonight. Let's see. I think I caught up on all that. No questions in here. Wait. There's not raised issues. Yeah, there's another Heath question.
Yeah. You missed the one from Nisi about borrowing something from Rick.
Oh no, I didn't. So answer the question. Like I said earlier, if you see a question and I don't,
Yeah, it was. He was just saying if I wanted a bowling alley on the layout, I could ask Rick for his. Never mind. We're not. It goes back a couple of shows.
Joey Busek's got a question for you. He says, "Being a question for Roy, how many locals have taken your dive off your tracks?"
Believe it or not, I have not. Knock on wood, I have not had a locomotive fall off the track onto the floor, but I have lost a couple pieces of rolling stock.
Oh God!
One of my Crescent Limited passenger cars was the first victim, and then one of my box cars was the second victim. And yes, eventually I am going to have probably plexiglass along the perimeter just to make sure that things don't fall over. You know, I just haven't gotten there yet.
Here's a question that probably a lot of people are wondering: are you DC or DCC? Hello, Cameron. How's it going, buddy?
At the moment, I am still long behind everybody else, and I'm still running the old analog DC. Yep, for the moment.
Do you have plans? Do you have plans for going to DCC?
The more that I play with this layout, Vinny, the more I'm beginning to think that it's probably going to become sooner than later. because of the fact that, you know, right now the power packs are either on the front of the layout or over at the dispatcher station.
Right.
And if you're over on this end, that end, and something happens on the opposite end, you're running, 30 feet to get to it.
Yeah, so you'd be good to have plug-in.
Oh
throttle.
yeah.
But they do make DC throttles like that you can plug in.
Yeah. And I've actually looked at that too.
I think MRC had one of those. Hello, Mr. Container Man 68. How are you doing, buddy? Glad you can make it in tonight. And hello, DES. How's it going, buddy? Glad you could all make it in tonight. Let's see. What's your favorite rolling stock?
I'm a fan of box cars. The old 40-foot box cars and the old billboard reefers, the refrigerator cars that had the advertisements on the side. That and of course I've always been been a fan of passenger trains, free Amtrak. I'm just not an Amtrak fan. So, that's
hello, Mr. Roy Smith. Glad you could join us tonight.
That's the reason why the layout's kind of being set between 1950 and 1970.
And Splitlock says he's a fan of reefers also.
Yep.
Yeah, Sparky loves boxcars. That's his favorite rolling stock. Are you doing a prototype or are yours a freelance or proto-lance?
Mine is mostly freelance. There's going to be a couple of areas on this layout that will represent areas near where I live, but it's not going to be 100% accurate. There's going to be a lot of artistic license taken on those areas.
You live in Pennsylvania, right?
No, I live in Maryland.
Maryland, okay, close enough.
Yep. Yeah, well, the smaller state to the south.
Let's see what we got here. So how long have you been working on this layout that you have now?
I've been working on this. It'll be 2 years in July, actually, is when I started messing with this, was in July of 2019. That's when I started putting the bench work together and things of that nature. But yeah.
So Rick Bailey wants to know who bought you the cowboy hat and why.
I bought the cowboy hat because when I was in the service, a couple of the folks that I hung out with were from the South, and when we would go out on Fridays and Saturday nights, we would went to the I say we went to the honky tonk, and so yep.
Let's see. So I know you mentioned this earlier. What is the size of your layout?
This layout is presently 34 feet, which is down the backside. It's 34 feet, and then once it gets over on that end, it's actually 8 feet up the far wall, 5.5 feet back, and then the section that's right there that you see closest to the fireplace, that section is only 15 inches wide.
Oh, okay.
So, and that was because I wanted to have enough room behind. This layout is not a around the wall layout. It's actually off of the wall so that you can walk all the way around the layout.
That's another question from your buddy.
Yeah, I see. Well, right now, Freak Jr.'s got him because Freak doesn't have a layout.
That's right. He said he took it down.
Oh, gosh.
This wants to know, who is your favorite SES co-host?
You know what? If I said that, I'd probably get flogged. So we're not going to go there.
Thank you, Mr. Roy Eltham. I appreciate that, buddy. Let's see. Sparky Ray has a dispatcher area. Does he have a fridge? So read Sparky's question is, Sparky says, you have a dispatcher area. Does he have a fridge and will stock with Canadian dispatch?
The dispatchers, yeah. He keeps kidding me about that, because anybody that's seen the channel knows that the dispatchers area actually used to be a bar.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's been converted. Yep, it's been converted.
How often do you put up videos?
I've been trying to put one up every week. And over the last couple of weeks that they've been fairly regular, but it's the problem is they were starting to get a little long. But what I was doing was actually doing something that should have been done years ago, and actually converting my rolling stock over to KD couplers.
Yeah, and that's what you're doing now in your current videos.
Right, that's what I've been doing. I'm thankfully finally done with that. At least the first half. I've got all the local locomotives and all the box cars, refrigerator cars, and gondola cars, and the hopper cars. The short ones have all been converted over. So
I'm not quite sure what Joey Busek's trying to say here. He says, "What about the NCE versus Digitrax?" Do you understand what he's saying about that?
No, because of the fact that I'm still DC, I haven't. Right, I had actually looked into DCC probably about 6 years ago, and I was looking at the ups and downs of the different systems. But at that point, I really wasn't in the market for it.
Right.
It was, and not only that, but I had a 13-foot by 11-foot layout that you operated from basically what I called the pit. The railroad went around you, so everything was within arm's reach.
Right.
Unlike this one,
got to have a mighty long arm for that one, huh?
Yeah.
Let's see. Here's a statement or a question from Thomas Splitrock. If you have a dispatcher, what type of train control do you use? Track warrant, CTC, ABS, mouse.
Right now, if I want to run this railroad, which I'd love to be able to do, of course, with the showstopper, it hasn't happened. Things are starting to lighten up around here, though, and eventually I am going to try and get some folks over here. It's right now everything is done kind of by it's a car card system, and eventually I'll go over to waybills. I haven't started messing with the waybills yet, so it's kind of. Case in point, the gondola train is a perfect example where that's a through freight, but it's also a local. There's actually cars that go to the local for the scrap dealer that's in the industrial area. When those two cars get picked up and they get taken back to the yard, they actually get put at the beginning of the train. So the next cars that are at the back of the train, those two cars come out, they get shuffled to the local, and then those two cars go out and they go down to the local shelf for the next outbound. So it's kind of like a rotation right now. The same thing with the box cars and the refrigerator cars. It's all in rotation.
Right. So David C to G, and I'm sorry I keep cutting you off.
That's fine.
Do you plan to ballast all the track?
Eventually. If anybody, for those that actually have followed, earlier this year, I actually did something that hadn't been done on any of the layouts that I had up to this point. I actually went ahead and put down road bed. Of course, I'm using the Woodland Scenics, which seems to be working very well. And eventually I will ballast the track. One of the things that I haven't really settled on yet, though, is the two hidden yards, which are on the opposite side of the backdrop over my shoulders. I've been thinking about there is the possibility that this layout might get expanded at some point. And if that happens, then those 2 yards move. So what's on the backside over there would somewhat go away. So I haven't really figured out how I'm going to deal with that yet. But I don't, because I don't want to ballast back there and then have to rip everything back up and then put it back down again.
Exactly. Joey Busick has another question for you. He says, what's going to be the largest industry on your layout once it's scenic and structured?
To be honest, it's probably going to be the industrial railroad that sits just over my shoulder here. That's probably going to be, between that and the BOEBEL yard, are going to be the 2 busiest spots on the railroad, outside of the 2 hidden yards where everything has to be, brought up and taken off the layout. The warehouse that's down at BOEBEL, that's going to be that's where a lot of your traffic is going to end up going, at least for the local stuff.
Mr. Ralph Greenwood has a question for you. He says, what geographical area does your layout represent?
Central Maryland. Basically, the whole premise of this layout is that it's a bridge route between Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and Richmond, Virginia, neither of which are actually modeled on the railroad. They're hypothetically.
Let's see. Question from Steve 87 PSAP. Question: who wins the 3 games?
Well, the thing of it is when we get up to Strasburg next year, you guys will have to find out. He's a lefty, I'm a righty. I think it's going to be fairly even, to be honest. We'll see how it goes.
Speaking of Strasburg, I am thinking of doing a road trip. So anybody want to jump on board, let me know. Because I tell you, I've been watching a lot of these air disasters on the Smithsonian Institute channel. And let me tell you something. I don't know if I want to fly anymore.
Every time I fly, my arms get tired.
Thomas got another question for you. So how many bridges are a bridge route?
Well, right now there's actually 3 on the main line that are visible. Eventually they'll just go down to 2 because I'm going to get rid of the ones that don't look right. Since I got that Central Valley Model Works bridge sitting out front, that thing just makes everything else look like garbage.
Let's see, I'll be checking out 611 in Strasburg. It's August. Don't worry about those shows when they don't. No, I know that, Joey. I just, it's like, it's always a pilot error. That scares me. Anyhow, planes are still. I know planes are still the safest way to travel. I understand that. I do have another question. Being that I'm getting older now, I don't know if I'll be able to stay into a confined area for 5 hours. That's the one thing that's really bugging me the most. So I don't know. Maybe I have to take a short commuter flight somewhere just to see if I can do it. All right. Let's see. Do you post your videos on any other media like Facebook or Twitter or anything like that?
Nah, that's strictly YouTube.
Okay. What do you like about the hobby?
Oh, wow. I guess it's, well, I mean, the way that this thing has been going, it's the fact that there's so many different facets to it, from the woodworking to the electrical to the electronics, which obviously I don't do a whole. It's one of those things. I work on high technology all day long, and it's the last thing I want to do down here. So, but the scenery, you have to be. It was kind of interesting. Howard Zane mentioned it in his video that he did for Model Railroader years ago. That's the fact that to build or be a model railroader, you have to be good at everything. You have to have something. You have to have an idea as to what you're doing in every facet, because if not, it's going to drive you nuts.
Yes, I totally agree. Let's see. What do you dislike about the hobby?
The expense.
That's number one, right?
And everybody's rather familiar. Here it is. My daughter just graduated from college, a couple weeks ago. So thankfully, as somebody else had said, well, now she's off the payroll. It's, so that's going to help. But, just the fact that when you've got a whole lot of other things going on, life in general that goes on, hobby has to take a back seat sometimes. So
sometimes, yeah.
But yeah.
Let's see. I already asked you the AC and DC thing. I asked you about favorite rolling stock already, right?
Yep.
All right. Let me ask you this: do you like doing scratch builds or kit builds, or both, or kit bashes?
To be honest, I haven't scratch built anything yet. I've actually got plans for a scratch build that I'd like to do someday. I actually had that plan when I had the 13-foot by 11-foot layout. My wife's grandparents lived in a house that's now a historical site close to here, and I wanted to recreate that house on the layout. And like I said, I got the footprint. I've got everything laid out. I just have to, one of these days, I just have to get the parts and start building it. But everything else I've done up to this point has been all kit stuff.
How you doing, Jack? Glad you can make it in tonight, buddy. All right, let's see. Here's a question that now, let's see if you're up to date on this. How do you clean your layout?
Well, let's see. Go ahead and I get the leaf blower out of the garage. No, I'm like, no. I've actually got one of those mini shop vacs that has the brush attachment. I'll run that across here to get all the dust up. Which, to be honest, one of the things that I'm finding now that I'm in a basement that's been finished, I don't have the issues with the dust that I had when I was over at my old house. I had the open basement.
Right.
And, I'm still one of these old school guys. I use a lot of different things, and I know that there's been lots of talk recently about, some of the newer things out there, and eventually I'll go ahead and I'll probably start looking into those. But for the most part, it's the old thing that my father and my grandfather used for years, which was old crocus cloth.
Wow. Okay. Let's see. Frank Steele fan. How many BNN shirts do you have?
This is the only one that I own, but there's a bunch of them on my Teespring store.
Speaking of Teesprings, guys, you need to check out my Teesprings and get some of my swag that I have on there. It's been a while since I've seen. I've been once a month. I've been buying mugs, and eventually I will get to show them all off. The ones that I have purchased. The ones that I know that have Teespring accounts, those are the ones I check out. I don't know how to get a touch, with anyone else that has stuff for sale. All right. So what do you clean your track with? What do you use?
Yeah, like I said, for the most part, it's like I said, it's the old little shop vac with using the old crocus cloth, the polishing cloth.
Okay.
And I've used that for years, and eventually I'm going to go ahead and I'll try some of the stuff that's floating around out there, out there now, but I haven't really gotten around to that yet.
It seems that the biggest thing now is to be using mineral spirits, not to be using any alcohol.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense because alcohol's got water in it, and you don't want water in. I mean, even they've said that for years. You don't want to use water near a layout because it corrodes everything. Exactly. You know, that makes perfect sense.
David Z to G, I unfortunately can't do that. For some reason or other, my screen thing is not working right. My blue screen, green screen, whatever you want to call it, it's not working properly, so I cannot put it up there. But I can show it to you again if you'd like. I like it. So let's see. Where is it? There it is, right here. All right, so I got to turn my camera off. And there you go.
Nisi said she's going to try the leaf blower.
There it is, guys. That's a 2018. It's a Toyota CHR. It's a 2.8, and it's variable transmission, whatever you want to call it. It drives really nice. I'm really like it. It's got awesome wheels on it. Car's clean, no hits. Carfax showed me, it was original owner, one owner, so 79,000 miles. Can't go wrong.
Hey, Vinny, I disappeared.
That scale is, I think it'll fit on my layout. All right, we're almost done here, buddy.
Hey, Dave, Vinny, I disappeared.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, there I am. Hey. That's right. You can put me back at the bed.
Heath says, very smart to get a used car. Well, okay. Who's buying a car? Me. I just did. I signed my life away for another 7 years. All right. Let's see. We got a couple more questions here. I think that's it. Do you have? I think you answered this before. Do you have a current project going on?
The current project, was going ahead and putting the KD couplers, or doing the KD coupler conversion. The next thing is going to be actually going back and finishing the second deck, the city suburb level, as I was calling it. That's really the next big project that I need to work on, and then after that it'll be putting up a backdrop and moving forward with some scenery, hopefully.
James Young said, I need a Camaro. My daughter's got that covered. She's got the Camaro. I want to answer that on Life's Track. Yes, alcohol does contain water in it, and the water is what is the bad guy in the alcohol. Mm-hmm. It's not the alcohol itself. Let's see. I got a question here from Joey Busek. Once dead rail locomotives become more common, would you invest in them?
I actually had thought about doing that at one point too, and instead of doing the DCC, but I don't know. Like I said, because of the fact that I'm still DC, I don't know. I don't know which route I'm going to end up taking, but we'll see how it goes. I'll do like I was getting ready to do a few years ago and just put the stuff up on the internet and see what's out there and figure it out from there. And not only that, but I'll, once I come across something, there's plenty of people over here in the chat that chat.
Heath, you need to go on stage, Heath. I tell you. The Closet Branch, Dats, good evening. What is the longest train you could run, and how did you decide the ideal length?
The longest train I've had on here was one of the challenge videos that I did, and I don't remember which one it was, but I actually had a 22 car coal train or hopper train running, which was the longest train I'd ever had running, period. One of the limitations on this railroad is the corners. All the radius is 22 inches, which probably by most standards is way tight to do some of the things that I've done. I can comfortably run about 11 to 15 cars, Beyond that, you start running into the possibility of having them come off the track. Now, that whole thing about pulling themselves off the track was also before I went ahead and reweighed everything, which was something I did earlier this year. That really helped with the tracking. So I could probably run a longer train if I wanted to, but the yards themselves, the two hidden yards, really limit how big of a train you can put back there. So that's what it is. I mean,
are you seeing Heath's next question?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
Heath always finds the good, it's. Oh Lord.
Well, I tell you, I got all my questions done.
What did Split Rock? Split Rock I have a bridge for sale. Oh, that wasn't him. Split Rock said something. I can't find it now, but yeah.
Here's another one from here's a bad question from Heath.
Yeah, both.
Passenger freight. I mean, he asked a train question. Come on now. Something going wrong there, Heath? Let's see. Heavy cars in the front, Ray. You got to put the heavy cars in the front.
Yeah, that's one of the things I did when I ran that hopper train. The longer ones were in the front and the shorter ones were in the back.
Marianne or Ginger. Here's another one. What's your favorite beer? Hello, Chasco.
That's one of the things I don't drink.
Hey, let's see. Joey Busick got another question for you. Do you ever want to finish your layout, or do you always want some new expansion, etc., to look forward to?
To be honest, I'd like to get this one semi-finished before I start thinking about the 2 or 3 expansion projects that I'm thinking about. Yeah, well, one of them is the possibility of going where this desk is or this table is behind me. Mm-hmm. The other one goes, that way. That way. And then there's a possibility I'm still thinking about putting in a wharf scene over by the bar area. I'd still like to do something like that, or a small harbor, just to have some extra interest in for operations.
Mr. Ray Central 127. What is your favorite donut?
Bavarian cream.
Why is that? Because you're German?
Yeah, well, that might have something to do with it.
Here's another Heath question.
I actually bought that on sale. And not only that, but that actually matched the decor in the old basement over the old house, because it was all knotty pine. So it just worked.
So, question from Heath. He wants to know why you use a plaid shirt on your layout and not something solid.
Well, that's what I was just saying. Over the old house, I had knotty pine paneling all over the place. So
I remember that.
Yeah, so the plaid kind of fit in with that. So
I remember that. That's why I was asking you about that layout earlier, because I remember it was just a big square.
Yeah, 13 feet.
And I think it had different track with different trains running on it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It was basically a 4-track main, 2 passenger tracks and 2 freight tracks. So yeah, that was a neat little layout.
All right. Like I said, I got my questions finished. So anybody else have any questions for Ray? Speak up now or forever hold your peace. And by the way, guys, I do have the 6-button Stream Deck for sale. I want $60 for it, and that will include the shipping. I paid $75 for it. I bought a bigger one. I bought the 15-button. So if anybody wants that, let me know in my email.
Oh, Heath is that there are days that I missed having the boat. I used to have a boat.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. That would really interfere with the railroad right now, though, because that thing was expensive. This is bad. Having a boat was even worse.
Oh, I know. My ex-brother-in-law had a boat, and I know what he used to pay to store it, not store it, but park it.
Yeah.
And then all the maintenance that he had to do on is like, wow.
Yeah, it was costing me about $3,500 a year to keep that boat.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you know what boat stands for. Break out another 1,000.
That's funny. It's like BMW. Bring my wallet. Question from Joe. You say, what's the one place in what is the one piece of rolling stock you want to own that you don't have?
It's funny. We were actually talking about that, I think, on the last Sidetrack Sunday that I did. And, one of the pieces of rolling stock that I'd like to get a hold of is one of the New England milk cars.
Okay.
So that's one piece of rolling stock that I don't have that I wouldn't mind having. How many spare bedrooms do you I've got one spare bedroom.
It's got to be kind of tight for a whole bunch of guys to sleep in, I would think.
Exactly, Roy. Model railroaders don't have money for boats.
Or cars, or cars. He said he wouldn't buy a car. He'd be using that money for his trains. Well, see, Roy, that's where you come in and you use the other person's money. That's how you do it. Say, Mr. Bankman, can you loan me $20,000, please? Sparky gets dibs on the spare room. Steve said the same thing. We're gonna have a little showdown. He doesn't say, "Oh boy, we're gonna have a three-way showdown." Here's a train-related question from Heath.
Yeah. It's kind of odd. I'm the only one out of me and my two brothers that actually got stuck with the hobby. My daughter was into it for a while until she got into high school, and then her studies became more important, which was absolutely true. She very rarely gets down, and even now, now that she's working, I've told her, I said, well, now you've got a little bit more free time. I said, if you want, I said, let me know. I said, you know where I'm at when you get home from work. I'm playing with the train, so if you want to come down. Which she has said she would like to get back into it again, because she did enjoy it, when she was younger, and her and I actually built that 13-foot by 11-foot layout, that one that I had over at the old house. So
what does your wife think about your hobby?
She's a fan of it because it is a hobby. It's one of those things. She's extremely supportive of it because, number one, she knows where I'm at, and it keeps me out of trouble. For the most part.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that it is a hobby, and I think once I get it, she's actually mentioned to me once before. Once I get it to a certain point, she wouldn't mind helping with the scenery portion of it, because she is fairly artsy as that goes. So we'll see what happens. What's for dinner? Well, I already had dinner.
I think he's pointing that at me. Well, tonight, Heath, I am taking my daughter and son-in-law out for their anniversary. I was supposed to take them out last week, but my son-in-law had some problems, so I couldn't take him out. So I'm taking him out right after the show. So I cannot make this any longer than 1 hour. Okay. What kind of trouble did Ray used to cause?
I didn't cause any trouble. It was the other guy.
What brand of DCC controller are you using currently?
The DC controllers that I'm using are MRC 1300, Rail Power 1300s, and I've got for the dispatcher, if I want to put the railroad into what I call show mode, which is where it just runs continuously, I've got an old Trio Pacer that runs the whole layout. So, yep, time's up.
No, Sparky, not Denny's tonight. No, not Denny's tonight.
No, that's McDonald's.
Yeah, they got. Hey, you know what? I'm going to go to Burger King. You buy one, get one.
There you go.
And I'll just have a soda. Let's see. Is Ray's wife Bill?
Oh boy.
You should get an MRC-20 with the long handheld throttle. Yeah, I don't remember. I know it was a big silver box. It was MRC. It was a big silver one, and it had handheld that you could plug in and walk around. You could put the paddles on your fascia, and you can use. It's a DC power unit. You know, you might want to look into that.
Yeah,
it would be a whole bunch cheaper than
Well, I've actually got something that I was in the process of possibly modifying that I was going to try and use, but I just haven't gotten around to that yet. Yeah, and Ray Central, the 1370s are a nice. They are definitely a nice unit. They do very, very well on this railroad. And I've actually got a dual power. I forgot what the number is, but that's an MRC unit as well. That one runs the yard.
So the Wiener Schnitzel and get it sent out to Ray,
see, you had no idea what you were getting yourself into, Vinny, by bringing me on here. You know that?
Yes. But I do appreciate you giving me your time for tonight.
Hey, not a problem. I appreciate you letting me in here, sir. Like I said, I know it was a long time coming. You asked me about that last year, and I'm like, I can't do it right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. You're taking bowling over seeing the Cuzz, man. Come on now. Guys, I really can't stay any later than this because I did promise my kids that I was going to take them out to dinner tonight, and they are patiently waiting for me. And I told them I have to do my Friday night thing. I said, my boys are waiting for me to show up. So anyhow, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody who asked the questions, even you, Heath.
Yeah, there's a chat.
So with all that being said, fellas, see you tomorrow morning on my premiere video. It's going to be a layout update, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for all the super chats tonight. Thank you again, Ray, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Take it easy,
Bye
folks.
for now.
Thanks, Vinny.